So if we're going to build the one-stop shop for knowledge, we need to know who we're building it for. What is the challenge that they face? How are we going to overcome that? This isn't a build it and they will come. We need to make sure that whatever we deploy to the enterprise is purpose-built and that we understand the problem we're trying to solve. So one of the things we look at is the customer persona or customer journey. And so here's an example. So meet Jenna. Jenna is an insights professional to Fortune 1000, a multinational. Today she's working from home, but someday she hopes to get back to the office. Her company is loaded with data. There are dozens and dozens of SharePoints. There are great subscriptions and tools. The challenge is today she has to build out the marketing plan. Today she needs to figure out how does she find past reporting, plans, studies, audience data and metrics, media campaigns that ran in the past and how they performed. And she's got a big task in front of her. So where does she start? And we can see just the range of different SharePoints or volumes or folders of internal data. We can see some of these great subscriptions or tools that she might have access to. But it's overwhelming. Across these systems are going to be millions and millions of pages of content. And she might have some ideas on the files she should pull from, but she can't know the full range of everything that's there. If Jenna is one of 1,000 people and there's 999 other people, as well as predecessors that have been creating content, it's just a lot, not to mention all the great data coming from these tools and outside vendors. So she goes to Teams and she sends out a message asking for help. And the thing is, for the subject matter experts on the other end, are they available? Do they see the message? Do they respond? She might get some good stuff back, but she's not going to get everything she needs back. And so we asked Jenna, and she spends over 10 hours per week looking for information in her systems and tools and subscriptions when working on these tasks. Over 20% of her work hours are in this search for data. Now, we've done studies across many of our customers, as well as customers coming in, and we have found that the average insights professional spends anywhere from 5 to 10 hours per week, 10 to 25% of their time in tools looking for this type of data. And so if that's the journey that Jenna's on, can we put it together in something that helps us, with that persona model? And so, here is a template that we might use where we think about her goals, her needs, her pain points. And this ends up being very powerful because when we build out the system, we need to make sure that we solve Jenna's problem, that when we're training her, when we have communications, that for Jenna, she can say, that's for me, and that solves my problem. And this is turning hours into minutes, and that we can measure it. So what does this all look like? And so let me just pull up Lucy for a moment. And this is Lucy. Lucy is a multi-tenant, cloud-based software as a service. She supports single sign-on. She supports multi-factor authentication. When we go in, we will see Lucy. And I'd say I would love to show you any number of one-stop shops for knowledge. This is clearly the one that I have access to and can share with you. And so as we go in, we see a variety of things. We see our general welcome message. Hi, I'm Lucy. We can see quick links to different published reports and kind of some common intranet type functions. We can see our discover zones where we see latest information, in this case from eMarketer, or latest files that are in SharePoint, or latest data on COVID-19. And then we can see our project boards as well, where collaboration happens. But we're only going to give kind of a mini look at Lucy, and we're going to focus on her ability to find information. Now, if I was in CPG, I might ask a question like, why do people like Greek yogurt? And Lucy's going to understand from that query the intent of the question. She uses what's called natural language processing and natural language understanding to recognize the intent of the question and then apply it against everything that she's read, listened, watched, and learned. On the right side here, you see a variety of answers rated by Lucy's confidence score. Although at the very top on page 15 of 32, she finds a great answer on why people like Greek yogurt. If I was in financial services, I might ask a question like, what concerns do parents have? And you actually see, I asked this earlier, so this time, she'll present me with a previously asked question: what concerns do parents have about paying for college? And in this case, instead of being a CPG type example, it's financial services. And we work with businesses in everything from healthcare, pharma, retail, CPG, entertainment, financial services, and the like. But here we're seeing great examples. Like here's an answer on page 4 of 5 with some great data on why our, what are the concerns of savings for college. So it's Lucy's job to find that best answer as quickly as possible. But I showed a slide earlier, who listens to podcasts? And this really gets at the heart of what I want to show, which is the idea of the one-stop shop for knowledge. Here, I'm asking about, who listens to podcasts, and I'm finding a podcast from eMarketer. I'm finding a report from eMarketer. I'm finding a Qualtrics survey being surfaced by KnowledgeHound. I'm seeing inside of my company's SharePoint an IAB report. I'm seeing from another SharePoint in entertainment, an ESPN report. And down here, I'm actually seeing from greenbook.org something from a public website that we're bringing in. And what's so powerful about this is the idea that in one query, I'm getting the best answers from all these different sources. eMarketer's got this great piece on who's listening to podcasts. I've got in KnowledgeHound, I'm going to have the survey or study. In IAB, I'm going to have on page 4 of 10, I've got this great data on who listens to podcasts. And what Lucy's doing is she's saying, in just a matter of seconds, I'm asking all these different sources and finding all of their different answers. And in some cases, I might say, well, this isn't really what I was looking for. I wasn't really looking for Spotify versus Apple podcast listeners, but I'm really liking to see the growth trend of podcast listeners over the years. And that's the one that I might choose to share with a colleague or add to a project. So that is, in brief, what we're looking at with the rise of these knowledge systems and the why. And with that, we can jump into the Q&A. And thank you for being with us today, and thank you for TMRE. All right, so here, I'm gonna ask Lucy a question. Who listens to podcasts? And I love this one because I think it's a great example of the idea of a knowledge system, the one-stop shop for knowledge. To this question of who listens to podcasts, I'm gonna see answers that come from a variety of sources. Lucy is gonna show us that she found a podcast at eMarketer. She found another report or study at eMarketer. She found a survey, a Qualtrics survey being surfaced by Knowledge Hound. We can see from my internal SharePoint, we can see an IAB report. We see more from eMarketer and Insider Intelligence. I should say eMarketer by Insider Intelligence. And then we see an ESPN slide from a deck in our entertainment folder. And we also can see down here from a public source in Greenbook that we have connected to this Lucy, a great answer as well. Now, I might think that this is the best answer from Greenbook, which is great. I might also look up here and say, well, what is in this study from ESPN? Well, that's really good, but maybe that's best for a sports audience. I might look and say, here's from eMarketer, a graph that's showing us Spotify versus Apple Podcasts. Well, that's not quite what I was looking for, but then I see here some great data about the growth trends over the years of the podcast listening audiences, and that might be spot on for me. And here's a page 4 of 10 of an IAB report inside of my SharePoint with some excellent data on who listens to podcasts. And what I'm really seeing in all of this is that I asked a question and found an answer from 5 or 6 different sources in a matter of 5 or 6 seconds. And without a one-stop shop for knowledge, I would be logging into eMarketer directly. I'd be logging into Knowledge Hound. I would be logging into, going into different SharePoint systems. In this case, miscellaneous, as well as my entertainment folders in SharePoint. And I'd be looking through dozens or hundreds of files. I'd also be looking at systems that don't have the right answer. Because when I start my search, I don't know. I'd look through SharePoint volumes thinking maybe they have something. I'd go through a bunch of files, but not find the answer. And so I might take hours or more to find this data without the one-stop shop for knowledge. But with it, I'm being surfaced the best options in a matter of seconds. And so we see that as being very powerful. And so that is our point of view on the one-stop shop for knowledge, the idea that you find a specific user persona that you build it for, and then a bit of what does it look like in practice. And with that, we'll open things up to Q&A. Thank you.